Our guest speaker is Jeanie, Knowles, who's Red Cross. And I know the Red Cross is doing a blood drive today. Thank you so much for being here. And I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate the opportunity to come in here and talk. Rarely is it difficult to talk me into talking, quite frankly. And I volunteer in many different aspects of our community out here. I'm involved with the library and some other things at fair. Many of you have seen me at the fair many, many times. But Red Cross is also a very big part of my volunteer life. And people ask me all the time, why the Red Cross? And I say because, first of all, they have a lot of practice with what they're doing. They were established back in 1881. So we've had lots and lots of experience in doing what the Red Cross does best. I like it because it's 90% volunteers. We have over 300,000 volunteers just in the United States alone, 13 million worldwide in about 192 countries. So they have a lot of people out there doing their thing. 90 cents out of every dollar goes to support our mission. Those things are important to me. I want somebody I'm giving my time to use it wisely. So I really like that. But what speaks to me, I think, the most about the Red Cross is we're doing concrete stuff. Just like you guys were talking about today in your meeting, what are we going to hand the people in our community? What are we going to do for them? It's not, hey, over the next 10 years, let's do this thing, and we have this plan, and it would be really great. I am out there handing people food, providing them a bed, giving them information, help, and assistance. That's a big deal to me. I've been out many times with the Red Cross, out on these big disasters. I didn't go to Florida this time because I had some other things I was committed to here locally. But I've done a lot of different things for them, and it's touched me in a big way. So our mission with the Red Cross is to prevent and alleviate suffering by mobilizing the power of volunteers and the generosity of donors. I think it's really important to note that the Red Cross doesn't get any federal funding. We don't get funding from FEMA or the government at all. It's strictly donation-based. Lots of cash donations, lots of in-kind donations. They make a real point of trying to use that in a good way. But what talked to me about this when I first started was this: I get to take part to prevent and alleviate suffering. And I can do that in a broader way than just helping in my hometown. I can do that by going across the country and reaching out to people. In addition to this, we support that mission by having that vision that the American Red Cross, through its strong network of volunteers and donors, is always going to be there in the time of need. Always going to be there in the time of need. And these are some of the things we do. Disaster cycle services is what I do primarily. That's going out to these areas when they're impacted by disasters here in Oregon, like fires and things, or the hurricanes you're seeing across the country right now. Disaster cycle services goes out to take care of those things. Home fire campaign, which is actually the whole reason I asked to come and talk to you guys today, was doing smoke alarms in houses, and then that kind of blossomed into this whole overview of what we do. Biomatter blood services, a lot of you probably saw the blood donation sign at the high school as you came down here today. We do have blood drives quite often here in Gold Beach, and this is another aspect of what the Red Cross does. Services to the armed forces, international and training services, just all different bits and pieces of what we do. And regardless, every day, in every neighborhood, every community, all around the world, not just in the United States, the Red Cross is going to be there. So as I said, my big thing is disaster cycle services. I've been out many times across the country, seen a lot of things that I never thought I would see. A lot of things that touched me deeply. At the end, if we have time, I have a story about one of those, but a lot of things that brought me great hope for us as a whole. Regardless of whether it's something big, like our fires or Hurricane Ian, or whether it's very localized, like a fire in somebody's home, we're going to be there. We help reunify families when people have been separated by evacuations, and we help them start and move on into the recovery plan. These are some of the things that Red Cross does when these disasters strike.
Quick question.
Yes.
You said that you were not part of FEMA, but you coordinate with FEMA, right?
Very much.
So it's an integral part of FEMA's response, the part that you provide.
Yes. We are FEMA is a partner with us in disaster response. When we do damage assessments when areas have been hit, we actually use their guidelines for assessing the damage on residents. no commercial properties, residents only. And what we have learned with the Red Cross is that we have to stay in our lane. You know, we don't actually cook any of the food we provide for the most part. There's a bunch of organizations that do that way better than we do. They don't provide a place to sleep. That's what we do. So we've partnered with all these agencies and these groups, but we run it wrong. So again, disaster cycle services, this is the handing people a meal, providing them with a cot. I'm not going to stretch and call that a bed actually, because I've slept in those. It is a cot, but it's a safe place. It's a roof over their head, it's information, and it's support, and it's an ear, somebody to talk to. We talked a little bit about, I alluded to the smoke alarm deal. This is why I want to talk to you, because in responding, in addition to responding to disasters, we want to prevent them. And we know that a big part of that is having a working smoke alarm. First question of the day. My first trivia answer here, or actually my first question for you is, how many of you have tested your smoke alarms in the last 30 days? Last 30 days, very good. Okay, so a few of you, this is really important stuff. 7 people die every day in the United States in a house fire. 7 people every day. We know that smoke alarms reduce your chance of dying in a house fire by 54%. Because of that, Red Cross started doing the sounding alarm, where we will go in and for no cost, absolutely free, we will install whatever smoke alarms are needed in somebody's home. Whether they own it, they're renting it, we don't care. We will go in the house, there's a phone number, I left actually flyers on the back table right next to the dais that tells you who to call, how to set that up. Be a little patient right now, because when you call those numbers, that some of those people are deployed right now in Florida, and some of the people that coordinate it in the individual towns are either deployed boots on the ground or they're deployed virtually. So it might take a little bit longer, and it is Curry County. So it does take a little longer to get those things done. But if you need smoke alarms, call that number, I'll take care of that for you. Since we launched that sound of alarm, this tells you 2.3 million smoke alarms that we've installed. But this is the big number. Almost 1,400 lives have been saved because of smoke alarms the Red Cross installed. We went out, we did smoke alarms, and at some point the people had a home fire, and they called to let us know that they got out because of that. So, next question. How long do you have, if your smoke alarm goes off, you have a fire in your house, how long do you think you have to get out before you're in big trouble?
6 seconds.
2 minutes. I like 6 seconds better. I want everything moving in 6 seconds.
I'm telling you, if you smell something, you got 6 seconds.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully the smoke alarm has gone off before you smell it. Because what people say is that the smell won't wake you at night. I'm not sure about that, but they say it will not. So, 2 minutes you have to get out.
When you sleep, your olfactory shuts down, so you don't smell it until you wake up.
Yeah.
You may hear it, but you will not smell it.
So, you want to make sure you have those smoke alarms.
Unless you have a cat or a dog.
Unless you have the cat or the dog that comes and does the
I was going to say, my dog will sweat me off.
Yes.
Yes.
So 2 routes out of every room. Well, first of all, that's going to be the door. Second of all, that's usually the window. So I want you to think about this. The window's in your bedroom. You're woken up in the middle of the night. Can you get up to your window without stepping on something? I cannot. And I don't have time in the middle of the night to go looking for this dust storm. So look around, make sure that you can get out of those windows. Do they open far enough to let you get out? And are they second-story windows, so you're going to have to drop down 2 stories? Plan for those things, guys. Make that plan. And again, if you need smoke alarms, we will come in and set those up for you.
Do you, along with smoke alarms, do you do the ladders that drop out windows?
We do not provide the ladders. You can order them. Amazon has everything, so you can do that. But we will do the smoke alarms. They're absolutely free. We do bed shakers and flashers in case you need those as well.
The new code standard for egress windows has been in place for many years, and it's basically 2 feet by 3 feet or 3 feet by 2 feet. And that's not only for you to get out, essentially 6 square feet of livable area. And they reduce it for the millions to 5.7, and not more than 42 inches above the walking surface to get out of it, or for the guy with the spare pack to get in.
Right. So hopefully your house is new enough that it's compliant with those. But look around, make sure that you can do that, and that if that doesn't comply, then you have a way around it. So just a few numbers, but I have homework for you all. Okay, get homework. Go home today, and if you have not checked your smoke alarm in the last 30 days, test it, please. Test every alarm.
How do you do it?
Push the button.
Oh,
There's a test button on the outside. Put your dogs outside first. So test that. Then, over the next week, I'd like you to wander through your home and look around and see, do you have that second route of exit out of your rooms? Can you get up to that window? Do you need to rearrange so maybe you have a chair right there? Can you drop out of it? And if not, fix it. Found out a way to get around that. The other thing you need to do is talk to everybody in your house and make sure everybody knows what the plan is once the fire happens and you're out. Where are you going to meet? You're going to meet at your mailbox, in your driveway, neighbor's yard. Where are you going to meet? And nobody goes back inside. Okay? Because if you're not all meeting in the same place, you all think the other one's back inside. So make sure that you're all meeting. And talk to your family members. So before I retired, one of the things I did was coordinate these kinds of trainings with the fire department and emergency managers in my town. The fire department always loved the story. They'd go up and they'd say, so they'd go man on the street interviews, and they'd walk up to families and they'd go, do you have a plan to escape your house in case it catches on fire? And they'd all go, yes, we do. So they'd separate them. And then they'd ask them, and everybody had a different plan. Same thing. Nobody knew the plan, all of them together. They didn't all have the same plan. So talk to whoever lives in your house about your plan, where you're going to meet, and never go back inside. The American Red Cross is the largest supplier of blood products. We supply 40% of the nation's blood supply. You see our things come to town all the time. There's one today at the high school. There is another one coming up in December 28th. That one will be at the library. You do have to go sign up and make an appointment. Just go to redcross.org, donate blood, and then you can search for 97444 zip code, and it will bring us up, and you can register for an appointment to donate blood. Donate blood is one of the easiest, surest, and almost painless ways of saving a life. Guaranteed to save a life.
excuse me.
Yes.
The blood supply you collect here, is it just stays here in this county, or it's...
No, it goes wherever it's needed. But the really cool thing now, they just started this, I think in like the last year. When you donate blood, when they send it somewhere, you get an email that says, we just sent your blood to California, LA, wherever. So you kind of get to see where it's going to go. There's always a shortage, so we always really do appreciate those of you that can to donate blood. We also reach out to members of our armed services, whether that means that because they need help with their family, needs to get a hold of them and they're having trouble with getting in contact with them. Our vets, after they come home, we have a lot of outreach with them. So we do have a whole branch of service within the Red Cross that does nothing but work with services to the armed forces. We do training. We do training in CPR, first aid, lifeguarding skills. We all know it is really hard to get things done here in Curry County. I was trying to renew my first aid CPR certificate. I could find nothing here, nothing. What I discovered was I can go online, funnily enough, to the Red Cross, redcross.org, training and certification, and you can do your CPR and first aid training online. Now you don't get the little card that says you did the hands-on piece of it, but it is surprisingly effective. I was actually very pleasantly surprised at what a good job it did to do the CPR portion as well as the first aid portion virtually. There is a cost associated with that. That's kind of the way that the Red Cross supports the mission and continues to support the mission. But if you just want a refresher course, this is actually a pretty good way to do it. It was really effective. I was quite pleasantly surprised at this. We do work around the world. If you have watched the news when we have things outside of the United States, these big earthquakes and things that occur, you probably very often see somebody in our Red Cross vests. We are all over the country. In some places we are called Red Crescent because the Red Cross isn't compatible with their beliefs, and that's fine. Because of the Red Cross, everyone is welcome. When we provide services somewhere, especially when we talk a disaster where we're opening up shelters, we don't care who comes in. We don't care whether they lived or didn't live, what they look like, who they are, what they believe. Everybody is welcome in the Red Cross, and that expands to international services. We also provide a lot of measles shots around the world to those areas that are less served. We are trusted, and to be there, we are there every day when we're talking about being these big disasters that occur, like what's going on in Florida right now. Once the evacuations are lifted, we don't pack our bags and go home. We are there providing client assistance as far as developing a recovery plan, getting out there, transitioning out of our shelters. What is the assessment, the damage assessment to their home? How are they going to continue on? We live caseworkers, we live mental health and health services people there. One of the other things that we do, if someone evacuates from their home and they don't have their meds or their CPAP or whatever with them, we replace that for them. There's some of the services we provide when they come into our shelter. Now, the last thing before I turn this back over to you guys, I want to talk about is fire extinguishers. How many of you have a fire extinguisher in your house? Okay, I see too many hands that did not go up. Make sure you have a fire extinguisher in your home. Make sure you can get to it. If this is in your garage and it is behind the boxes that are piled up in there, it does you no good. If it's on the other side of your car, it doesn't do you any good. Okay, so make sure you have a fire extinguisher in somewhere in your home where you can get to it. Check that the gauge on it is in the green, and if it's been a while, you might contact the fire department about if you can check to see if it's still workable, if it's fairly old. I don't honestly know what the age limit on these is, but you want to make sure your gauge is in the green. Yes?
Can't you get them refilled?
I do not know.
Those ones aren't worth refilling.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Those ones are not worth refilling.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you have a
And
bigger
the
one,
cost
If you have the big ones, are
The
Cedar
cost to
Valley Fire-
refill these little small guys is so expensive, you can buy a new one.
yeah. So the big ones.
Cedar Valley has a guy that comes every year and to our fire hall and will refill the bigger ones. Yeah.
So, but make sure you have one. Make sure that you have one in your kitchen somewhere, because the kitchen is obviously primarily where fires start. Where is the absolute worst place in your kitchen you can put your fire extinguisher?
Next year,
On the
so.
stove.
Under or over your stove. You don't want to be doing this when the fire's here. So put it over in your sink somewhere, just somewhere where you can get through to it. Yes?
All you need is a can of baking soda.
Or a can of baking soda, yes.
What?
And that works too. You can use
A box of baking soda to put a fire out.
But wherever it is, make sure that you can get to it without having to climb over the fire. So if you have ever had to use a fire extinguisher to actually put out a fire, or if you have ever been in an emergency, we know we go pretty quickly into fight or flight mode. And sometimes that causes a little vapor lock in our heads and we don't remember what we're supposed to do. That's why when people have to evacuate their house really quick, they leave with their coffee cup and not their insurance papers. We kind of get excited and we forget. So they developed an acronym. We love acronyms, right? PASS, P-A-S-S, to remind you how to do this. Every fire extinguisher has some kind of device up here, plastic, metal, a little cable that stops it from being accidentally discharged, a little loop or something. So the P is simply hold that. You no longer need this, drop it, don't worry about throwing it away or putting it in your pocket, just get rid of it. The A portion of that is aim. That means aim at the bottom of the fire, not the top. We're not going to rain down on top. We're going to smother it from below. Okay, press, aim, squeeze, squeeze, this, and then sweep. So you're going to sweep at the bottom. So pull the pin, aim at the bottom, squeeze the handle, and sweep it back and forth. That's how you run a fire extinguisher. Again, sometimes in those emergencies when things are happening, it is hard to remember those things. That's why you make a kit, you make a plan, stay informed, you make sure that you have those plans to get out of your house. If you have to evacuate, you know, we have the levels 1, 2, and 3. I'm not waiting, I can guarantee for that get up and go message. I'm going to be leaving my house at level 2. Because I have a small road. Imagine getting out of Gold Beach on 101. If we have an earthquake or we have fires or we have a risk of closing down the highway, we're pretty much trapped. So, questions about the Red Cross? Questions about anything we talked about today?
I have a smoke detector question. So, as a realtor, most every home is not adequately served with smoke detectors. So I buy them by the case full.
Yes.
I would love to buy them from Red Cross and make a donation if that was ever available.
I will find out
Yeah.
and get back to you on that. Jeremy, I can get contact information?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry, can't see very well.
I don't mean either. Backlit very much.
Now, when the fire is in your house, what do you need to take with you? Or should it- Nothing?
Nothing.
Or you just mentioned
do not-
insurance papers.
So if you are, and we say that because it's funny when people will say, I don't know why I picked this up when I ran out of my house. But
okay.
you don't have time to go and find that.
No?
The best advice I can give you is take pictures of your insurance papers or your your important papers that have a contact number
Yeah.
and a policy number on it. Because with that, you can get anything recreated. Do not go looking for things.
Okay,
You do not have time.
Keep your phone near you then.
yeah, okay.
Keep your camera on.
At least these days, most of it's online.
Most of it's online. But you know what, I don't remember half the time what insurance company I have for what and all of that. So take pictures of it. You guys, thank you very much for giving me the
We're going to
opportunity.
ask you to help us read the last three numbers.
Oh, sure. 256.
256?
256.
One.
Oh, yay, let's meet